The warning, ignored. The stars above Sector Delta 7 glowed softly, silent and peaceful as always. But the silence hid a growing storm. For weeks, strange movements had been noticed near a quiet system known as Zone Echo, a place marked as restricted by Earth's command. No one in the Galactic Alliance cared. At the center of the Alliance fleet, Commander Talek stood with his arms crossed, staring at the holographic display in front of him. Ships of every shape and size hovered in tight formation, 100,000 in total. Warships, cruisers, swarm carriers, and stealth units, all prepared for one purpose: to make an example of Earth. "Begin countdown," Talek ordered, his voice filled with pride. "But Commander," one of his aides said carefully, "we received a message from the humans. They've issued a warning. They said, 'Turn back. This system is not yours.'" Talek laughed. "One ship dares to threaten us. Earth's arrogance grows daily. No, we go in." He wasn't alone in his thinking. The other high commanders, each representing a different species, agreed. The humans had expanded too quickly. They'd taken control of trade routes, formed secret pacts, and even dared to reject the Alliance's orders. Now, they'd pay. Reports showed that only one ship was stationed in Zone Echo, a single human warship. No support, no backup, nothing else in range. It was the perfect time to strike, and to humiliate them. The fleet engines roared to life. In synchronized motion, 100,000 ships entered jump space. Their destination, Zone Echo. Far across the stars, hidden behind the dark gas clouds of Zone Echo, a single vessel waited. Its black surface blended into the shadows. No signals escaped it, no lights blinked, but its systems were very much alive. This was Sentinel, Earth's most advanced warship. Inside, Captain Darren sat alone in the command chair, silent and calm. His fingers rested on the armrests, but he did not move. The bridge around him was quiet. Most of the crew had already evacuated weeks ago. Only 10 remained, each one a specialist, each one ready for what was coming. The ship's AI voice broke the silence. "Incoming fleet detected. Estimated time to arrival 90 seconds. Total ships 100, 321. Darren nodded slowly. "Understood. Power core status?" "Stable. Dark matter reactor at full capacity. Weapons charged. Targeting array calibrated." A pause. Darren leaned forward slightly. "Send message. This is Captain Darren of Earth Warship Sentinel. You are entering restricted space. Turn back immediately. This is your only warning." The message was sent in all major galactic languages. There was no reply. Darren sighed. As expected, he had warned Earth Command that diplomacy would fail. The Alliance only respected strength, and Earth's silence had been seen as weakness for far too long. But this time, Earth wasn't sending a message. It was sending Sentinel. Back on Talek's command ship, the human message was laughed off by the Council of Fleet Leaders. "They think they can scare us with words," hissed one of the reptilian commanders. "A single ship?" Another mocked. "We will crush them and send the wreckage back to Earth." Talek raised his hand. "Then, let us begin." The fleet exited jump space in perfect sync, arriving at the edge of Zone Echo. And there it was. Just one ship, floating quietly in the center of the system. Talek's scanners confirmed it. One warship, human-made. No escorts, no nearby bases. It didn't even move. The entire fleet spread out, forming a wide circle around the lone vessel. Fighters launched, drones deployed. Battle was moments away. Talek smiled. "Let's show Earth what real power looks like." He raised his hand and gave the order to attack. High above the dark system, as the alien fleet swarmed like angry insects, the Sentinel remained still. Inside, Captain Darren gave one final command: "Begin." And then, the stars began to change. One ship in the dark, the alien fleet moved into battle formation. From the command ships to the smallest drones, every vessel had a target. Their objective was simple: eliminate the human warship and claim the system, but nothing happened. The Sentinel remained still, almost like it didn't see them. Its sleek black hull absorbed the faint light of the distant sun. No engines flared, no shields flickered, no weapons glowed. Commander Talek narrowed his eyes. Why don't they move? His sensors scanned the human vessel again. It had no escorts, no backup. But something felt wrong. The energy readings from the ship were higher than expected, stronger, unstable. Commander, an aide reported nervously. The ship's core is unlike anything in our records, and its targeting system, something, is interfering with our scans. Talek brushed it off. They want to scare us, but they don't have the numbers. He gave the order. All ships, attack now. Inside the Sentinel, a low hum filled the bridge. It wasn't the sound of panic or alarm. It was the sound of something waking up. The ship's AI, Vanguard, spoke with calm precision. Fleet now at full spread. Enemy positioning complete. Optimal firing sequence uploaded. Captain Darren stood from his chair. All systems ready? Yes, Captain. Weapons online. Targeting locked. Response time 0.6 seconds. Execute pattern. 0 flood. The bridge lights dimmed. A quiet vibration passed through the hull. On the ship's outer shell, invisible ports opened, revealing rows of dark matter cannons, pulse rail turrets, and the central weapon system, the Oblivion Core. One by one, glowing threads of energy stretched outward, connecting with locked targets across the enemy formation. There was no warning, no countdown. Just, for the first volley wasn't seen, it was felt. Thousands of ships disappeared in silence. One moment they were charging, the next they were gone, cut in half, vaporized, or reduced to drifting metal fragments. The aliens paused. Confusion spread across their comms. Some thought it was sabotage. Others thought their sensors were broken. But as debris floated past their windows, the truth settled in. A single shot had taken out more than 1,000 ships. Commander Talek stared in disbelief. What just happened? Before anyone could answer, the Sentinel fired again, and again. Each time it fired, hundreds of ships vanished. The dark matter beams bent through space, ignoring shields, tearing through armor, and following fleeing ships like predators. The fleet scrambled to change tactics. Fighters were ordered to swarm the ship. Bombers targeted its engines. A stealth wing tried to sneak around the back, but the Sentinel didn't need to move. Its AI tracked every target. Its weapons recalibrated instantly. Its defense grid shot down anything that came close, long before it could be seen. It wasn't a ship. It was a Reaper. Inside the Sentinel, Darren watched the destruction unfold with a blank expression. Update, he said calmly. Fleet reduced by 24%. Estimated full elimination in 173 seconds, the AI responded. Any response from command? No transmissions. Silence across all frequencies. Darren nodded. Maintain fire. No survivors. On the alien flagship, panic had fully set in. This is impossible, shouted one commander. That ship is cheating. There's no weapon that can do this. We need to retreat, another yelled. We need reinforcements. Talek's face had gone pale. No. If we run, we show weakness. We continue. But as another 3,000 ships vanished in a blink, even his pride began to shake. Then the sensors on his command ship gave a new warning. The Sentinel had turned. It was now moving, slowly, calmly, toward them. Captain Darren stood on the bridge, arms behind his back, watching the sea of destruction. His voice was quiet, almost cold. Let's finish this. The stars around him burned with flashes of light as the ship prepared its main weapon. The Oblivion Core glowed, and the galaxy would soon remember a name they had tried to mock: Earth. The first wave, the void of space, turned into a battlefield. As the alien fleet launched its first full wave of assault, fighters swarmed forward like locusts. Drones darkened the stars. Frigates and cruisers opened fire with plasma bursts, missile storms, and ion lances. It was a beautiful storm of destruction, at least from their perspective. The Sentinel didn't dodge. It didn't retreat. It absorbed the first attacks with a silence that unsettled even its own crew. Shield stable, the AI reported. Impact level minimal. Armor penetration 0. Captain Darren didn't blink. Fire at will. Prioritize command vessels and fuel carriers. The dark matter cannons unleashed another wave, this time in rapid-fire sequences. Every second, beams of compressed annihilation energy ripped across the battlefield, weaving through enemy formations like guided lightning. Enemy ships exploded before they knew they were targeted. Command ships shattered with precision strikes. To their core, fuel carriers detonated in massive fireballs, setting off chain reactions that wiped out hundreds nearby. The first wave lasted 12 seconds. By the time it ended, over 10,000 ships were gone. Inside the Alliance command vessel, the bridge was chaos. Screens blinked with red warnings. Officers screamed into comms. Sensor feeds showed nothing but growing fields of wreckage. Commander Talek gripped the edge of the table. Redirect the flanks, get behind it. Use jammers, cloak modules, anything. They launched the second half of the wave, advanced stealth bombers and long-range artillery ships. Stealth units curved around the Sentinels' blind spots, huge missile carriers, locked on from a distance, firing volleys designed to overwhelm. This was supposed to be the end of the battle, the second punch that would finish any opponent. Instead, it became a massacre. The Sentinels' AI, Vanguard, adapted instantly. Using a predictive matrix, it calculated the movements of every cloaked ship based on earlier trajectories and energy, footprints. It fired before they could become visible. Dozens of stealth ships died in complete confusion, never realizing they had been tracked from the start. Meanwhile, interceptor pods, autonomous drones stored within the Sentinel, launched. From the ship's underbelly, they spun, locked, and accelerated like sharks in space, intercepting all incoming missiles, slicing through attack drones, and even burrowing through larger ships before exploding. Captain Darren gave only 2 commands: keep firing. And then, after a brief pause, switch to Echo Sweep. Let them hear what silence sounds like. The Echo Sweep was a specialized weapon not designed to destroy, but to disable. A wide pulse burst across space, hitting communication systems, frying targeting computers, jamming propulsion systems. Hundreds of alien ships went dark mid-flight. Fighters drifted helplessly. Capital ships began to spin. Crews inside panicked as their screens died and lights flickered. To them, it felt like the gods had stolen their voices and ears. Then the real fire began again. From a distance, the system looked like a star had gone supernova. The flashes of light, the waves of heat, the storm of metal, all of it filled the scanners of distant observers. Some Alliance scouts, hidden outside the system, tried to record what they saw. Their ships trembled as they realized the truth. This wasn't a war. This was a demonstration, and Earth had made its point loud and clear. On board the Sentinel, the AI spoke again. Fleet strength reduced to 61%. Remaining enemy vessels repositioning, preparing third wave. Darren didn't smile. He didn't cheer. Run new scans, he ordered. Search for command escape shuttles. No survivors. His voice was ice. The message Earth had sent him was clear from the beginning. This battle must be short, brutal, unforgettable. Back in the heart of the Alliance fleet, Talek tried to issue new orders. But his voice cracked. His hands shook. No strategy was working, no system could keep up. He looked at the screen and saw the human ship slowly turning again, not escaping, advancing. He whispered to no one in particular, "What kind of monster have we woken?" And then another flash lit up the bridge. Darkness followed. End of part 3. The sky burns. The battlefield had become a graveyard. Flaming debris spun through space. Fractured hulls drifted aimlessly. Engines dead. Lights gone. The stars themselves were hidden behind smoke, fire, and metal. But the battle wasn't over. Not yet. The alien fleet was stubborn, proud, desperate, and now, afraid. The second wave had been crushed, but the third was already forming. From the back of the formation, massive dreadnoughts began to move forward, each one bristling with heavy cannons, planetary nukes, and ancient weapons banned in galactic law. Support cruisers activated gravitational distorters. Swarm ships released particle clouds. Cloaked vessels prepared final gambits. All of them aimed at one ship, the silent, still Sentinel. Inside the Alliance command remnants, what was left of the fleet leaders barked conflicting orders. Many of their command ships were gone. Coordination was broken. No one trusted each other anymore. Still, they launched their third and final assault. If they failed here, everything was lost. The Sentinel did not move. It didn't need to. Captain Darren stood with his eyes fixed on the chaos ahead. On the screen, the third wave approached like a tidal wave. Estimated fleet count remaining? He asked. The AI responded instantly. Approximately 38,700 ships. Formation chaotic. Aggression level, maximum. Begin sector burn. The sector burn wasn't a weapon. It was a decision. Dozens of ports opened across the Sentinel's surface, revealing the full power of its arsenal. A deep hum began to build. Not a sound that could be heard, but one that could be felt across space. Energy readings across the galaxy spiked. Listening posts on distant moons went offline. Civilian ships miles away suddenly lost power. The Sentinel was building toward something that had never been seen before. And then it began. The sky turned white. A wave of energy burst outward, clean and silent. It moved through the fleet like a ripple through water. Ships exploded instantly, not from contact, but from the crushing vacuum left in the wave's path. Gravity buckled. AI systems went mad. Organic pilots screamed as their vessels twisted into scrap. Even the largest dreadnoughts built to survive planetary destruction cracked under the pressure. Their shields collapsed. Their engines overloaded. Their weapons melted into themselves. In less than 17 seconds, nearly 20,000 ships vanished. The remaining ships fled in every direction, no longer listening to orders. Discipline collapsed, but the Sentinel wasn't done. The AI Vanguard spoke with quiet precision. Remaining enemy vessels are breaking formation. Shall I pursue? Captain Darren nodded. Prioritize command ships and escape routes. Let them see it. Let them know. And so the ship moved. Its first movement since the start of the battle. It advanced through the wreckage, calm and unstoppable. Enemy fire still came, but it no longer mattered. The Sentinel's shields deflected everything. The hull remained untouched. Autonomous drones were released. Small, silent, fast. They darted into the fleeing ships like wasps, drilling through engines, cracking hulls, and leaving nothing but silence. One alien commander begged for surrender, on open channels. The Sentinel didn't answer. It simply erased him. From across the galaxy, high-ranking officials watched in secret. Surveillance drones hidden in distant asteroid belts streamed raw feeds of the destruction. They had expected a conflict. They had hoped for a message. Instead, they witnessed something worse than war. They witnessed dominance. Inside the Sentinel, the crew remained calm. No celebration, no speeches. Captain Darren gave another order. Prepare the Oblivion Core. The main weapon, the final blow. Far ahead, the last large cluster of ships grouped together around the flagship of the remaining fleet. Commander Talek was there, injured and silent, his face lit only by the fires of distant ships. They had come with pride. They would leave with nothing. If they were allowed to leave at all, and above them, slowly approaching, the human warship burned. Through space like a dark god, the sky burned with it. Desperate measures. The last fleet cluster floated in panic near the edge of Zone Echo. Around them, space was filled with burning wreckage and drifting corpses. Signals of surrender flooded every channel. No one responded. Inside the alien flagship, Commander Talek sat slumped against a shattered console. A medic tried to stop the bleeding on his arm, but he pushed the hand away. His eyes stayed locked on the screen. The Sentinel was approaching, slow, steady, and perfectly silent. He had led 100,000 ships into this system. Fewer than 15,000 now remained. "We have to stop it," he whispered. "We have to do something, anything." The remaining fleet leaders gathered through emergency hololinks, all speaking at once. "We'll launch our suicide drones, empty the magazines, activate the black core bombs, use the illegal tech. If we don't, we die anyway." They agreed to throw everything they had left: ancient weapons, banned devices, untested tools of war. Desperation had taken control. A fleet of bio-warheads launched, creatures grown in labs for war, able to tear ships apart with claws and acid. Behind them came plasma mines, AI parasites, and gravity pulse bombs. One commander activated an old planet cracker weapon, meant to split moons into rubble. It was aimed not at the Sentinel but at the space around it, to destabilize the region and collapse space itself. All of it was thrown at one ship. All of it was meaningless. Inside the Sentinel, the AI calmly reported, "Bio-warheads detected. Targeting now." The ship's outer turrets activated and fired precision particle beams. The creatures were vaporized before they came within range. Plasma mines approaching. A ripple of electromagnetic shockwaves burst from the hull, disabling the mines mid-flight. AI parasites detected, firewalls lit up. The Sentinel's defense code rewrote itself in real time. The parasites were pulled in, analyzed, copied, and then erased. The planet cracker weapon fired. The space behind the Sentinel twisted, ripping stars into strange shapes, pulling gravity like a black hole. The Sentinel did not flinch. Its engines glowed, and it accelerated through the chaos like it was nothing but fog. Captain Darren remained quiet. "Report. Enemy numbers reduced below 9,000. Large clusters destroyed, main weapons ready." He nodded once. "Begin full charge. Prepare the Oblivion Core." On the remaining enemy ships, panic turned to silence. The Oblivion Core was glowing now, visible even through scanners light years away. It appeared as a black sun surrounded by rings of red lightning. Every ship could see it charging. It wasn't a weapon built to defeat an enemy. It was a weapon built to end them. A young alien pilot, barely out of training, watched through the cracked window of his shaking cruiser. He saw the Sentinel rising in the distance, its shadow growing larger, its light glowing stronger. He whispered, "It's not a ship. It's something else." And then, like a god drawing breath, the Oblivion Core released its power. A beam of compressed annihilation tore through space. It didn't travel. It didn't fly. It simply existed, everywhere at once within a fixed cone of fire. Thousands of ships vanished instantly. Shields melted, armor bent inward, power cores went silent. Some ships were simply erased, not even leaving wreckage behind. The cone widened. More ships were caught. The beam split into forks, dancing through the battlefield like divine punishment. The final fleet commanders screamed into their consoles, begging for a ceasefire, begging for mercy. The Sentinel did not respond. There was no negotiation. When Duan, the beam faded, only drifting ash and twisted metal remained. The last ships turned to flee, but escape was no longer an option. Captain Darren turned to the AI. "Deploy the swarm. No one leaves." Confirmed. Thousands of autonomous hunter drones burst from the ship, darting into every direction. They targeted engines, escape pods, signal relays, destroying any attempt to flee. Within minutes, the sky was clean. Every attacker was gone. Every voice silenced. In the cold dark of space, only one ship remained. It had not taken a single hit. The Sentinel stood alone, and across the stars, those who watched would never forget. Echoes of a massacre. The battlefield was still. No more cannon fire. No more flashing lights. No voices on comms. Only silence. And floating wreckage stretching across the stars. The Sentinel drifted slowly through the ruins, its surface untouched, its black hull reflecting the faint light of distant stars. It had stood against 100,000 enemy ships. It had ended them all. Inside the command deck, Captain Darren stood before the central display, arms folded behind his back. Around him, the crew sat in silence, their faces grim but calm. The AI voice broke, the quiet. All hostile vessels eliminated. No escape signals detected. Scans confirmed 0 survivors. Darren nodded. Log combat data. Encrypt and send to Earth Command. Transmission underway. Estimated arrival 7 minutes. Good. And the message? Broadcasted to all known galactic channels, exactly as written. The message was short. To those who seek war with Earth, this was your answer. Let the silence speak for us. It was heard on every world that monitored deep space. Trading stations fell quiet. Border fleets canceled their patrols. And in the grand chambers of the Galactic Alliance, leaders and generals sat frozen, watching. The final footage of a battlefield where an Empire's fleet had been turned into drifting ash. Some refused to believe it. Others knew the truth. They hadn't fought a ship. They had faced Earth's promise that it would never be invaded, never be pushed, and never forgive. In Zone Echo, the Sentinel continued its pass through the wreckage. Robotic arms reached out, collecting black boxes, ship logs, and DNA samples from the ruins. It wasn't for trophies, it was for records, proof that Earth had warned them. On board, one of the crew members, Lieutenant Gray, spoke up. "Captain, it's hard to believe. All of them. Gone." Darren didn't turn. They made the choice. Tapped a button, replaying the first message Earth had sent before the battle. "Leave Zone Echo. This is your final warning." He let the words sit in the air. "They thought we were bluffing," he added. They thought humanity still needed to earn its place. Gray spoke softly. "And now?" Darren's voice was cold. "Now. They'll never forget it." Across the galaxy, the news spread like wildfire. On a desert colony world, a group of miners watched the broadcast in silence. One of them whispered, "That's a human ship?" On a merchant vessel passing through neutral space, a trader marked Earth's routes with red symbols and turned away. On an alien academy planet, teachers updated their war history lessons, overnight adding one new term to their final exam, the Zone Echo Massacre. And in the halls of the Galactic Alliance, a quiet vote was held. Earth was to be left alone. No trade restrictions. No fleet surveillance, no territory disputes. The vote passed unanimously. Meanwhile, the Sentinel left the field of battle. There were no heroes' cheers, no parades, just silence and purpose. The ship entered warp, disappearing in a streak of light toward a hidden outpost near Earth. The mission was complete. But Earth's message would echo through the stars for centuries. In a quiet sector, far from where the battle happened, a single survivor drifted in an escape pod. One of the few that hadn't been picked up or destroyed. He had seen it all. He had watched the beam tear through his squadron. He had screamed when his ship cracked apart. And now, he floated alone, staring at a silent screen. He didn't speak. He didn't blink. He simply replayed the last few seconds of the battle over and over again, because no one would believe him, not unless they saw it for themselves. The New Order. The war was over before most knew it had begun. The Sentinel returned to Earth's outer defense grid without ceremony. No reporters, no applause, just a silent formation of orbital stations acknowledging its arrival with encrypted signals. Captain Darren stood alone in the hangar bay, watching the stars. Around him, technicians performed checks, recharging the core, inspecting armor that had never been scratched. Earth Command's voice came through his earpiece. "Mission confirmed. Total victory. Stand by for debrief." He didn't respond right away. He looked at the void where the enemy fleet had once existed and whispered, "They won't try again." In the Capitol Dome on Earth, leaders gathered in a sealed room, admirals, diplomats, strategists. A massive screen showed wreckage data, footage of the battle, and the recorded message sent by the Sentinel. "This is Earth's response. Your fleets were warned. Let the galaxy remember what comes when threats reach our sky." There were no arguments, no debates, just a quiet agreement. Earth would no longer wait for danger to come. From now on, it would meet it head-on. In deep space, rumors spread like wildfire. Whispers told of the black ship that ended a galactic fleet. Legends were already forming. It wasn't made by humans, it was controlled by something else. The crew didn't speak. They just watched while it destroyed us. The ship never missed a shot. Not once. Small colonies painted Earth's symbol on their buildings, not out of loyalty, but fear. Others rushed to sign peaceful treaties with human diplomats. No more mocking, no more demands, because now they knew. On a small outpost near the galactic core, a meeting of neutral scientists reviewed the Sentinel's energy signature. One expert said, "Their tech, it's decades, ahead of ours, maybe more." Another added, "And that was just one ship. What if Earth has more?" The question hung in the air, and no one dared to find out the answer. Back on Earth, Captain Darren stepped off the ship after 6 months in deep space deployment. He was met by a single officer with a data pad. "Orders, sir. Command wants you to rest." Darren looked at the officer. "And the Sentinel?" "Already being prepped. Upgrades are planned. There's talk of building 2 more. Darren nodded. "Good. We'll need them." Weeks later, in the outer reaches of another galaxy, a rogue pirate fleet attacked a small trading post. They expected no resistance, but before they could fire, they received a signal. One line of text, broadcast in clear human standard. "You are entering restricted space. This is your only warning." The pirates laughed, until scanners detected something approaching. A ship with no ID, no escort, and a black hull that reflected nothing. They turned around. No shots were fired. No shots needed to be. In the centuries that followed, Zone Echo became a protected system. No species dared enter it. The wreckage remained, untouched, undisturbed, a floating graveyard of arrogance. New cadets in the Earth fleet were taken there during training. They were told, "This is what happens when humanity is pushed too far," and every one of them understood. The galaxy did not fear humans because they were violent. It feared them because they warned first and then followed through. And from that day forward, a new order ruled the stars. Earth's silence meant only one thing: destruction was already coming.